I've always been an artist in some way, shape, or form my whole life. There's a lot of artists in my family. My grandmother is a painter and a sculptor. I'm a super emotional person. I've trained my emotions. I've, have like a level of experience of being able to kind of go deeply into emotions, and sort of having that kind of training for like a long period of time. It just sort of affects how your personality is. And there's nothing wrong with it, but emotions are kind of touchy subject. So it's good to have a way to really express how deeply I feel things in a way that people feel comfortable with. I can, like, I did one performance video on my stories where I was just crying about love and what it means, and just like bawling my face off. And I had to also like put sort of a disclaimer, so people wouldn't be like, "Are you okay? What's wrong with you?" Like, I like to use everything, and and that's really the only way to survive life for me. Especially if you've been through a lot of crazy, wild experiences, or whatever, whatever good or bad, it's relative. Like, we've all had things that are difficult to deal with, and if you take that and say like, "Oh, my life and everything, oh God," of course you're never going to get through that and be happy. But if you can be like, you know what, I'm going to use it. I'm just going to use it. I'm going to take every little piece. And for me, it's in a good way as well. So anything negative or anything positive or anything that I have learned, that I have taken the time and effort to put into, I don't want to let go of. So I feel that I deserve to use those things because I earned use of those things. And so I want to integrate them into something that makes sense. If you look around the room and you close your eyes, you'll have impressions. Okay, so I have a period of time that I have to basically take a nap and keep my eyes completely closed. And get to a place where now I'm in this state and I can generate whatever emotion and allow the image of that emotion to come clearly into my mind. That's when I will, as quickly as possible, sort of get up, grab my, utensil, whatever I'm using, and with my eyes closed, draw that image onto the canvas. All of this composition was made with my eyes closed from this technique. The Museum of Modern Art's event here that we had, Beauteous, it was part of that event, which was awesome. So this is my first oil painting series using my technique, Blind Contour of the Mind. This is the final painting of a self-portrait. There were 4 paintings in the self-portrait. In this series, I was working with the idea of love, first of all, and also muses. I had each color represents a different muse. By the time I got to the 4th one, I realized that I didn't have a color for myself, that I had put a color for all these other people that I'm thinking about and kind of integrating into my life, and realizing that, wait, where is the space that's just for me? And that's what this portrait is I had, when I was in my state, like meditative state, generating the image that I was going to portray for this final painting, I had this sensation of like a solid core in my torso, and then I had this image of a golden rib cage. The golden rib cage for me means that no matter who or what is in your life, you have to have a sense of value in yourself that has nothing to do with anyone that's in or out of your life. The whole idea behind my technique of Blind Contour of the Mind is how do I sort of get to this really basic core, like elemental level of communicating with my audience, right, or with my viewer, and as pure sort of expression of emotion as I can get to. And I felt like people got it. I'm turning to love. I'm turning to love. I'm turning. I'm a multidisciplinary artist, and a major part of my work is trying to find ways to integrate all of the different art forms that I've studied over the years, the techniques, the ideas, the ways of expressing myself, take all of those things and create it into one cohesive art practice. I had done painting, like college level painting in high school because it was a fine and performing arts school. And then I set painting aside for a long time, like 20 years. I started painting in 2014 at the encouragement of a creative partner of mine. And he was just like, you know, you can be an actor, but like, the fact that you can paint, like that's freedom. Like that gives you a lot more freedom creatively because you don't depend on anybody. I was doing a project where I took 9 of the most famous like male artists, and I was going to embodied, you know, each of those artists and created an alter ego based on that artist, and created a body of work as that artist, as the alter ego, the female version of that artist. So one of them was Dali. I created those self-portraits and using like surrealist techniques, just kind of like, you know, making marks on the page. And I used Dali as like an icon, but I didn't really try to necessarily make paintings like he would make. I was just like, if I were Dali and if I had the balls of Dali, what would I do? You know what I mean? So like, of course, there's, you know, vaginas, like my vagina, like on the painting, and I put it on Instagram and people loved it. So like, you know, there's something empowering about that. But me, Jennie West, like, would I be painting my vagina and putting it on Instagram? Probably not. But, you know, S. Dolly, D-O-L-L-I-E, she could do whatever the fuck she wants. Sorry, am I supposed to curse? To bleep it out.
There's no shame in identity.
And I had a character called Candy Warhol, and like that was another character that could do whatever she wanted, because like Andy Warhol could do whatever he wanted, right? I could do whatever I wanted. If I was the female version in my alternate universe, you know, I could do it.
Thirsty for the sweat of growth, salt drips down deep, brows flows through throats.
A lot of my artwork is about self-healing. It's a way for me to understand myself, understand help me, you know, toward my personal goals. And ultimately what I want to do is touch on those universal things that other people can connect with on a deep level. And I would like to be able to express in as pure a form as possible my truest emotions and my thoughts and ideas in a way that people can just, you know, when they look at it, they can feel it. This self-portrait is called Poverty of Love, and it's actually was my alter ego based on Francis Bacon, and my character was F. Bacon, B-A-K-I-N. I used like cutesy female names. This self-portrait is from a time in my life where I was actually living in a house with no running water. I was in a relationship that was a domestic violence, and it was a very dark time in my life and a big struggle that I've been coming back from for basically for the last 6 years is rebuilding my life from that experience. So that self-portrait was kind of like me processing like where I was and where I am. And it was interesting because I think the first time we showed that portrait, it was a Freedman home exhibition at a gallery at 81st Street, like a nice fancy gallery, and we had Warren Smith and the jazz musicians playing for our opening, and it was just kind of a full circle moment for me to have sort of that version of myself brought into the present moment, and like it's still me, but I to know that me at that moment would not have sort of imagined myself at the moment where I showed this painting. It's definitely been a major part of my healing process. Painting is so meditative. It really brings you into yourself. And working with the material of oil painting as well, which is something, oil paint is so specific and you have to use it with so much care in a lot of ways to not make a muddy mess. So it's something that kind of balances me, I think. And art definitely has always been a huge part of my life and a huge part of the way I cope with life. And I think it definitely can help people because expressing yourself is part of human nature. And art is a way that sort of gives you a space to express things in a way that's palatable. You know, expressing your emotions, even crying. People have so much trouble with crying. No one wants to see you cry, you know? No one wants to see you cry, and no one wants to see me cry because, oh, you know, like, I'm very emotional. But there's something about taking all of that and putting it into art that makes it, I guess, something that people don't feel responsible for, but feel they can connect with, you know? And I think ultimately that's a healthy and positive way to connect. Is not like, you know, making other people responsible for you, but like allowing them to be like, you know what, I can identify with you. You know, we can connect. We can meet at this moment, you know? And I think it's healthy.